Where's everybody? I haven't played the intro yet, you bastards. Okay.
I guess we're just going.
Roswell, 1947. What happened?
Roswell, 1947, there was a UAP that crashed. In fact, there were two UAP that crashed, and one flew away while the other one did not, and it was recovered by the U.S. government.
Allegations of a legacy UAP retrieval and reverse engineering program.
The U.S. government has had, in the past, and continues to have a very deep interest in UAP, to include the potential and possibilities of recovering crashed UAP and reverse engineering it.
We've been recovering spacecraft, alien spacecraft.
The United States has been involved in the recovery of objects, vehicles of unknown origin that are neither from our country or any other foreign country that we're aware of.
Alien bodies, biologics.
We as a nation have been interested in not only the vehicles themselves, but the occupants of these vehicles, to include biological specimens.
Aliens, non-human intelligences, are real, and they have been engaging with humanity.
Ross, we're not alone. We are not alone in this universe, and it is a simple fact, and the U.S. government has been aware of that fact now for decades.
Why are they allowing you to say we are in possession of something that was not made by human beings, but not allowed to elaborate, not allowed to show these very compelling videos that you're talking about that you've seen?
Good evening.
How are we doing?
Good, boys. How are you guys doing?
Professional start to a show ever. Whoever's idea that was, it was outstanding. Lee,
I'll never tell. I got an NDA.
There you go.
Hey guys. Hey guys.
All right. So supposedly a book came out this week, huh? Did you guys hear about the book?
Apparently so. No.
It was late. We were supposed to get it a while ago, though, but I guess better late than never, huh?
I'm 8 hours and 33 seconds in.
That's what she said.
This
I got
video-
the wrong Lue. I thought it was the other guy. I thought he was going to explain what he did with Tom Hanks that time.
Yeah, Tom Hanks. I wish we would have heard more about Tom Hanks there, or Tom DeLonge, huh? I don't know if we want to start there. That's kind of deep.
He did mention Tom DeLonge briefly in the book, and said that his daughters are big fans. I mean, his daughters would have been a bit young for Blink-182, I'd have thought.
I don't know. I don't know how young his daughters were at the time. I don't know.
Lue's 52, I think.
Yeah, 52.
Yeah. So I'm what, 43? So he's 10 years older than me. So his daughters will be old. His daughters will be teenagers, if that.
If you want to look at the sorry state of what pop punk still is just put like,
hey, I like pop punk. Hey.
No, it's fine. But no one's made any new pop punk since like 2005. And if you
like really good stuff, yeah.
Like there's like all you've had is Paramore, and then I don't know, it's like Puddle of Mud. That was the last people to put a song out. So yeah, I bet she does know who Blink is if she's into that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I expected a little bit more on the TTSA side of things because that was huge. There is so many bangs going on outside my house at the minute, so I don't know if you can hear that, but somebody's letting fireworks off. I hope the fireworks anyway. That's why I was at the window when you started the fucking show.
Oh, wow! Wouldn't it have been amazing if we'd have caught like a live like home invasion or something like that?
It's happened in real life before on streams. Yeah,
it absolutely has. Yeah.
We don't hope that for you, Ali. They might be coming you over to Twitter stuff, but
listen, what happened to Kurt Cobain didn't do anything wrong for Nirvana sales.
Oh man,
take one for the team, Ollie.
It has been so much this week because like we got the book, then we got the Rogan, we got News Nation.
Yep.
And I mean, it's a lot to keep up with, but and he's just launched his YouTube channel as Lue.
Sure has. Yep.
So what do you think he's going to do there?
Hopefully not review stuff, otherwise that's going to get awkward.
Okay, so Ali, yeah, we could start with that. I mean, what's your initial feeling so far? I mean, I know you got like an hour or so left, but like, what's your take so far?
So I didn't dislike the book at all. I actually quite liked it. I liked more like what we were talking about before the show started. I like the stuff about his family, about his father. I thought that was really interesting. It kind of humanized the guy. He does seem like a likable fella, I must say, unless it's all just a hidden thing, you know. He shows this side of him that's the nice guy, because he seems like a nice guy, like somebody you want to have a beer with at a barbecue or whatever. But
you say that, but there is like 100% fact of him in that book not being a very nice guy.
Oh yeah, he's a killer.
Pretty much.
The most polite people you'll encounter in your lifetime are the most dangerous people. Always beware someone who's polite who has nothing to gain. Right? What they're doing is they're giving everyone else around them an option. Like they're setting the tone that this is friendly. The guy who's the most braggadocious, the one who's trying to start crap or walk shoulders high or bump into people, or like, what? Don't worry about that guy. Worry about the guy who holds the door open for everybody. Right? Always.
Because one day I'll slam it in your face.
He's probably the one capable of twisting your head off. Like that's always what it seems anyway in my life. I think that's always what it seems to be. Yeah. Always beware polite people.
No, I did like the book. I found the Roswell stuff interesting, which I know we already touched on because a lot of that leaked a few weeks ago.
A lot of the big stuff leaked. A lot of it, like the mass majority of the really like would-be bombshell stuff, we just kind of didn't feel the bombshell from it because we've seen it before.
Was it a leak? Or was it testing the market? Just creating buzz?
I feel like it was an accident, right? The Google reviews or the Google the Google Books put out that little free peek at it or whatever. I think stuff like that happens, man. You see problems like that with tech nowadays.
You do. Yeah. But we are conspiracy theorists.
I know.
I know publishers do that kind of thing all the time.
Yeah, sure. I also have to feel if you accidentally publish somebody's material before their like embargo date for it to go out, like Luke could sue the fuck out of Amazon.
You're correct.
Yeah, because all he needs to do is point to all of the UFO guys that were ripping the back out of his book and say, "Look, this has cost me sales."
I think it did. Yeah, I think there's definitely people that's seen some of the stuff and were like, this is kind of out there. I'm out. I think so. Yeah.
I don't think it was ever intended for the UFO community.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think they were nothing more than a launching pan of buzz to help keep it in a trending topic for all the normies who are somewhat interested, but generally put off by UFO Twitter /UFO X and all our craziness in particular. You know,
Yeah, I think there was a lot of the book though that if you didn't really kind of put your nose into a lot of this stuff, it would have been lost on you though. Like knowing that kind of like at least having an idea of a timeline of OSAP, ATIP, when all that stuff kind of went down, Klakatsky. If you don't kind of know a lot of that stuff, you would have been really lost to a lot of the context, in my opinion. But
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think so. Like if you're a normal person reading it and you've heard about AATIP, you've heard about ASAP, it's been in the media, it's been a trending topic, it's been on headlines, but you don't know anything. And here's this guy that you know is associated with it, but you don't know. He's kind of been in and around. And now that he's been on Joe Rogan and they talked about it, so you're a normie who's like, yeah, man, we like to talk about UFOs. Isn't that crazy? And then you pick up this thing. It gives you a very 50,000 foot view of what was happening, the time scale of which it was happening. And now for those who are, really into the topic, it's nowhere near enough. Like the book was not for them. It's kind of like Jeremy Corbell's documentaries, right? They were never intended for people who are already aware of the story. They were intended for people who are on that fence or just kind of aware. It's almost like this is a whole push to continue to bring this into a larger audience and a mainstream topic. I
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Away from the fringe. I
guess it's just what I want. I don't want 50,000 feet when I finally get a chance to sit down and look at something from this guy. I want to know the behind the scenes. I want to get past into the meat, and I feel like I didn't get a lot of that. I got some of it, but I didn't get all of it what I wanted, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You want to smell it, taste it, touch it. Yeah.
Lick it.
Penetrate it.
Do you know what's shown me more than anything is the fact that like the whole UFO community and UFO Twitter in particular, how just completely ineffective it is, and like for all intents and purposes, apart from being a hangout for people to talk to each other, completely fucking useless. Because
in what way?
What's happened is all these people that are constantly talking about UFOs every day have gone, right. Well, we want disclosure. We want disclosure. Like since before the internet, I was watching like VHS tapes about this stuff. I've heard people that like saying, "We want disclosure. We want this. We want government acknowledgement." Then you get someone like Lue that comes out with the career he's had, with the receipts to match what he's saying, and the UFO community said, "No, fuck him." There's like a video on BitChute watched by like 300 people called Who's Lue? So, we'll pay no attention to this guy whatsoever. But for all intents and purposes, that's what you in 2001, that book is disclosure.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, the timing of the book it's late, dude. It is. I think it would have hit way harder.
I don't think it's late. I don't think it's late. I think the people that are into the topic are jaded.
I mean, I don't know. My overall take though is that when you look at kind of especially how the book ends, I mean, I don't want to give that away. I don't know how. Are we doing spoilers or like we worrying about?
Oh yeah, let's spoil the shit.
Yeah, fuck that.
Are we really?
Fine.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
If you don't want spoilers, turn off now.
Yeah.
No, keep listening. Don't be a bitch. Keep listening.
Okay. But if you
review.
But if you look at the end of the book and he's kind
of boat sinks, yeah? The boat sinks.
Yes, the boat sinks.
The bitch throws the emerald or whatever the hell it was. She throws the jewel back in the water. Had it the whole year. Family lived in poverty. Sitting on $50 million. I'd have beat that old woman's ass in that boat.
Yeah. I just feel like what I mean by that, Lee, is like, you look at, I feel like a lot of people's focus for disclosure and what they might hope to get that from, even though we all probably don't agree that it's probably going to come from here, but the focus seems to be Congress, right? It seems to be legislation right now. And when you look at the majority of his book, it's kind of like a little old school. It's more of like, hey, these are the stories. Hey, believe me, I saw the videos.
Well, Grush wasn't good enough either.
I mean, Grush is not really, we haven't heard the end of him though. I mean, he's still out there. I mean, there's still a chance he could come out and talk more. We haven't heard the whole story with him yet, in my opinion.
But all we got from UFO Twitter and the UFO like commentators when the congressional hearing happened was, it was nothing. Nothing happened at the Congress.
I didn't say that.
No, I don't consider you the same as the rest of them because I think the rest of them are fucking morons. But the like the thing is like you just look at it, it's like, oh yeah, no, nothing happened there. You go, they were talking about non-human fucking biological like fucking things.
It was huge. Yeah.
Non-human life forms. Yeah. And people pretended it was nothing, and they took the piss out of David Grush because he looks a bit funny. And you go, oh, hang on a second, you don't want anything.
Well, they don't want anything other than the body. If you don't bring the body, the general public, most people, they don't give a shit. They don't.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. That's the only thing that's going to move the
Then we
needle
get
at this point.
mummies. We get mummies which get fucking X-rays.
Whole nother
I've got
story,
all
though,
sorts
yeah.
of fucking slices through that have got fucking odd DNA, and then what do the UFO community go? Oh, well, it looks weird.
Fingerprints.
Yeah, but it looks weird. Of course, it looks fucking weird. It's a fucking alien. Yeah.
No, I just think like people would have been on board with like the more of the remote viewing story. That like a lot of the woo, I feel like, has been kind of set aside over the last couple of years because people feel that there's a hope to get actually some facts and something they can bite down onto. You know what I mean? Maybe not facts, but they can bite down onto.
See, I think that's the personal perspective of people.
Could be.
Right? Like,
yeah, their
bias, and like we talked about it for sure, the bias is people are like, man, we have to separate the woo. What if the woo is inseparable? What if you're wanting to pull away the one thing that is actually real about this topic?
I hope we don't. I want, yeah. I hope we don't. I'd like the woo.
Yeah, but like, even to your statement, that's what people go for. Like, they're like, where's the nuts and bolts? Where's it? One thing we can take away from Lue, and I think it's interesting the way he sprinkles it into his book, is him talking about woo things. Even when on Joe Rogan there towards the end, he started throwing that in there too. Not in the beginning. Obviously, he's playing to the narrative, and Rogan has preconceived notions about these things, which is weird for someone who's done as much, psychedelic traveling and what he has, that he would come to that. But whatever. Is that there seems to be a component there, right? Like, I'll save it for the end, my general takeaways from everything. But yeah, it's one of those things is everyone has this preconceived idea of what it is individually. I'm not saying like every person, including myself. We have these ideas, and when things don't fit our narrative, we're less likely to accept them. And when you've had the community been based on so long and pushed in all honesty, let's be real, manipulated and pulled, like I think the most susceptible group of people to solid propaganda is the UFO community as a whole. Like, they are just they're jaded, so it's easier to play them. So if you have a snarky quip about something, like look when the mummies came out and everyone's like, it's paper mache, then everybody was saying it. It started with bot accounts. And they're like, yeah, that's right. I'm on this train now. Woo! And they're like, we have x-rays. Like, we're doing DNA testing. Like, we have these pathologists. They're like, nah, that anatomy structure wouldn't make sense. Like, we should look more into this. It's paper mache. It's even now people will watch this and go, it's paper mache, you idiot. But they'll ignore that it's been to all these different medical universities.
Put a poll up.
That would be great. Yes, let's do a poll.
Well, people want like universities in the US to look at that. I don't mean to go on like a mummy kick here, but like I think a lot of it's because of where it's coming out of. And a lot of people in the US especially think
racism.
It's exactly what it is.
I mean, there could be a hint of that.
100%.
I mean, so we're the best and that's it, and everybody else sucks. I get it. Yeah.
Which is really weird because those aliens are white as fuck.
Exactly. And the doctors who are running those tests, look at where they came from. John Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, like they were holding an attending staff who went down there to run the medical hospital teaching staff-esque part of it, of the medical school there. Like, these guys are well-traveled, and like their reputations, and they're like, it seems to be biology, there seems to be function. People are like, he's a Mexican doctor. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Did you really just say that? And for the other part, he was at the Mayo Clinic, and this is the funniest, this is kind of off topic, but the funniest thing is everyone shits on the U.S. healthcare system until it's time to x-ray the unknown alien mummies. Then apparently we're the premier experts in the world, and fuck all anyone else knows what they're talking about. A little weird, right?
I mean, I get what you're saying 100%. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just think it's that I think you're right, but I just think it's like the time frame to kind of just jump back to that, like the timing of it. I agree. I think 2 years ago the book would have been really big. People would have been way more on board. Everything that I see, people just seem kind of either mixed on it, kind of mid on it, or they're just like,
I don't think it would have been big. I think it will be a big book. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to sell really well. It's going to sell really well outside of like the UFO community. What I've come to learn is, or what I think might be right, there are far too many people that are. I don't think journalist is the right the right words, but I do think there are a lot of people within the UFO community which believe they're journalists. Well, they're not. They do live streams and they tweet.
Yeah.
But they don't want it broken. They don't want disclosure because then that takes the toy away from them. It's kind of like if we were to find out, I don't know. It's like find out Father Christmas isn't real, which he obviously is. Just in case any children are watching this at some point, you don't want that because it's just going to spoil your day. And I think that's the thing with people. They're far more into like going on the internet, displaying pseudo intellect, and talking amongst themselves while in this big circle jerk of wherever like group they happen to be in, than they are like looking at other people. And I think that's why people like Lue and this is the thing. I'm not saying we 100% trust Lue because I'm not completely convinced this isn't a fucking psyop. But what I'm saying is that it's not. If it's untrustworthy, it's not just untrustworthy from Lue that's trying to make money out of selling the book, which I think is that's the lane people are going down. I don't believe that for a second. I think this has to be a coordinated thing from the New York Times article to what we're getting now. Fuck, if I'm perfectly honest, I watched E.T. this afternoon, and when I was watching E.T., I was there thinking, did it start here? Like, was this the beginning? This in Close Encounters of the World, Close Encounters of the First Kind, third kind?
Eighth.
Is this the beginning of the psyop that we're now really in the thick of?
But when you say psyop, though, what do you mean? Like in a sense of make everybody think it's alien to cover up our technology? Is that what you mean by psyop? That's how I would take something like that. Yeah.
The psyop for me would be to make everyone think it's aliens because it's absolutely not aliens, and we live in a far more fantastical world or realm, whatever you want to call it.
To that point, I really think we should have what Mr. DB Cooper here says. 7-7. So if one case, not 5%, not 1%, if one case is true, there is a phenomenon. Well 100%. Said. Well said. And to the movie thing, just to throw in a reference, I've thought about that too. I thought about, like looking Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? And we have certain well-known players in the UFO community that are represented in that movie that offered material for that movie, right? And you look at these other big ones, and we hear, like, especially with Lue on the Joe Rogan podcast, right? Because all these things kind of have to go together. There's just so much coming out at the same time.
Yeah,
which is just a good book tour, right? Like, it's just good promoting. So it makes sense they would do that. Look at the Abyss, right? They're down there, deep sea drilling, oil, whatever they're doing down there. I believe they were drilling, and they find this underwater, unbelievably advanced life form that lives at the very bottom that we can't detect. That's just kind of been monitoring us and doesn't really give a shit what we're doing until we start playing with nukes. Now they care. Now they're like, maybe we need to scrub everybody off the planet. Maybe these monkeys got a little ahead of themselves. Like, this could be a problem for us. If big, huge movies like that, and we know that they get intel from the government in some ways and fashions, right? Like that's a known thing. It makes it wonder what kind of ideas they're trying to seed. And maybe these seeds didn't take root like they had hoped. And this is the other push. Because I thought it was interesting when Lue on Joe Rogan's podcast is talking about the undersea phenomenon that has been spotted. The size of an island moving by, oil derelicts. Like that's something. Like that's a huge thing. Everyone just ignores that point. What? You have witnesses?
That's
you have
interesting.
Film? Yeah.
But that's interesting in bringing that up when you consider that it was only a few months ago we had that anomaly that was spotted coming out of Antarctica.
Yes.
That seemed to travel up past the coast of Africa. That I thought that when I heard him say that.
Island.
Yeah, that was the first
small
island
in
my head.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, Fravor told that story on Rogan first, though, too. So I mean, Fravor is on board with that story.
And everyone used that story to discredit Fravor. Like, he's off it. He didn't know what he was seeing. He's like, he's a trained observer and a pilot who leads a squadron. He's a commander. Like, that's one of the things is people want a credentialed military or governmental official to come out and say that there's something to this or that's something real. And then when one of those people do, they attack them, they tear them down, they dig into their family, they go, like it's insane. It's hey, we're hungry, we're starving, give us bread. You give them bread, they throw it in they throw it to the pigs and like, how dare you give me whole wheat?
But I feel like it's people are getting a picture of bread though. It's not really bread. Like bread to me is the body. Bread to me is the photos. That's bread. They're giving us photos of bread.
So you don't want whole wheat. You want white and fully enriched with the sugar. So there's
to sink my teeth into, Dave. You know what I mean? That's what I want.
So it's Ola, Alien Addict. Would y'all want to be interviewed on Arkanks? If so, give me an email for someone from Arkanks to talk to. If not, it's cool. Have a great day. Much love.
We will check you out.
Yeah, we'll do that. Sure, why not? We talk to everybody.
We do.
I'll pop the email in the chat.
Yep. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So, like, if we want a credentialed person, David Grush is a credentialed person with access. Lue Elizondo is a credentialed person with access. Fravor's a credentialed person with access. His wingmen are credentialed people with access. They have all the security clearance they pass. The fact that Lue is still maintaining a security clearance and saying the kind of things he's saying should definitely be taken to weight. Because if you get a DUI and you got a security clearance, guess who doesn't have a security clearance anymore? If you get into a nasty divorce and some things come out, like, you were unfaithful, guess who doesn't have a security clearance anymore? If you start telling wild stories or nonsense, you will lose said security clearance.
Okay. How much? Where would this book have had to gone?
It'd have to get reviewed by the DoD. They have a whole department that handles that.
Yeah, it went through DOPSR. Yeah, it went through DOPSR. Yeah,
there was bits taken out. I think there were several pieces taken out.
Names redacted. Yeah, that you're not going to be able to talk that you worked anywhere near this person or not. And the thing is, just because they didn't remove it doesn't mean it's an endorsement or that it's even real. But the crazy thing is they wouldn't let wild allegations go that would be associated with someone who's still holding a security clearance and was involved with programs.
That's the part, Dave, that's so weird to me. And this is why and somebody else was mentioning this. They used the word while I was kind of talking about this as far as like phishing with DOPSR, essentially. Like, this is what twists my brain about it is, let's say, you had someone in the government, some ex-military guy writes a book. He actually gets some parts and pieces, even though he's kind of making it up. He gets it right. And they put it through DOPSR and they go, well, we can't read this guy on because he doesn't have the clearance for this. Do we just let it go? And they let classified information go out? That's wild to me, because that would be quite a hole in DOPSR that you could try to go ahead and fish through.
Because you would have had to found out about it through channels. And when they find that kind of information, even if you've put it together yourself, they're going to check the people that you've talked to. They're going to check for leaks in their seals, if you were. One of the important things to understand, though, is there are very efficient ways around security clearance. It's the thing people hate most about people with security clearances or people who deal with that. They hate that they tell a story. Just tell me, man. I don't want to hear a story about your mom and dad. I don't want to hear a story about your fucking childhood. I want you to tell me. They are telling you. You're just not listening. They can put it in a parable. They can put it in a story. You need to listen. They cannot tell you. I cannot tell you that this training date goes on with the new Aurora project through here, but I could tell you that me and my dad used to like to, when I was a kid, we went out to the desert in Arizona and we would star watch, right? On Thursday nights around 9-10 p.m. around fall, best stars, especially if you go northeast, just the picture, right, is fantastic. And I may elaborate. What I'm telling you is that the testing grounds and the flight path is through that corridor on Wednesday nights at 9:00. You need to go out there and find it for yourself. Like, there's whole conversations that happen that are just in a story. There's the conversation which you hear, and then there's the sub conversation. And if you listen to the book and you listen to the Rogan podcast and you do a good comparative, you can understand that they're saying some, or he's at least alluding to, I believe, big things that he would neither confirm nor deny. And again, we'll talk about that later towards the end, I guess. But it's just one of those things. You have to listen and understand. That's the easiest way to put it, is in some allegorical story or a narrative or something you can relate personally that you can try to get the point across, but you're not going to be saying, hey, man, I saw this footage. They got it from an F-22 Raptor. It was going over there. But if he can somehow relate it to a story of shooting guns with his dad and how he was trained to do, you know what I mean? Like, he's trying to relate that these things are real. It's the best that they can do when they're talking around that, if they're trying to tell you something. Because they don't break anything that way.
Well, this is it, Dave. The UFO community know that there's something there. Otherwise, they wouldn't waste the time on it. But then there's a guy that comes in whose his credentials do add up. And, you know, the guy, he clearly wants to retire from this, from his actual day job, and do whatever he wants to do. And the book is a good way out, I suppose.
Do you think, or do you think he's on his next mission?
Okay, I didn't think of it like that.
Do you know who he works for now?
Who's he working
Anybody?
for?
Anyone know who Travis? Did anyone know who Travis Taylor is?
Oh yeah, the guy, the Skinwalker guy.
Do you know who Travis Taylor works for right now?
Was it Radion, or what is the name of it?
You're close.
Raytheon.
No,
No, it's not Raytheon. No. Radiant. Is it Radiant?
Radiant Technologies.
Yeah. Okay.
They work together on that. You
Okay.
see who works for that company? Do you know what that company does? Do you know where they're based out of? Do you know what contracts they hold? Do you know who they work for?
Spill the beans, Dave.
Yeah. Geez.
I can't do research for you, bro. Like, this is the breadcrumb trail, right?
Yeah.
That's what you have to look at. He's still very much plugged in. 100%. He's still plugged in. I think him getting out was going with Tom DeLonge. I think when that fell apart, he got plugged back in.
Yeah, he definitely. That's the biggest fib I think he's ever told, was that he knew that he didn't know about TTSA and everything that was going on with that program before he left the Pentagon. I don't believe that he left the Pentagon without a game plan. And he's saying, "Oh, I left and I put my family at risk." He doesn't seem like a guy that's going to put his family at risk monetarily or anything like that. And the biggest thing about that to me in the book that I think he kind of told on himself, because he talked about how Hal Puthoff said, "Hey, you got to meet this guy Jim Semivan. You got to come talk to him," because they couldn't kind of get the meeting with Secretary Mattis that they wanted. And so he meets with Jim Semivan in that first skiff, and Jim's like, "Hey, I got this rock star guy we're putting together a program with." And then they've had multiple skiff meetings back and forth, and Hal has just been this hand on both sides. You know, he's over in the CIA, he's doing DODs everywhere. And they built a relationship. And if you're going to tell me that after a couple of years of that relationship, and that Lue left and Jim never said, "Hey, we got this show coming, we got this stuff, get out of here and get the movement that you want going," I don't believe it. And it seems like such a silly thing to lie about. Why do that? Because that hurts a lot of credibility for me, because it's the base of the story. You know,
I think he's the reluctant face of whatever's pushing this out. I think Tom DeLonge was supposed to be the face. I think To the Stars Academy was supposed to be the vehicle. He fucked it on Joe Rogan because no one could take him seriously anymore. And as Ollie just said there, watching the Rogan things, this what I thought watching the Rogan thing. And he came across so well. He came across like such a good guy. He came across as knowledgeable, but yet still intrigued with what he was trying to say. He, he hit us with some heart-touching moments talking about his mother. He even started to cry on the right cues as well to make himself really, really human.
He's really good.
You roll that back to when he was going on Lue Celebrity Review, whatever the channel used to be called. Roll that back to when he was there, and he was that guy that would just sit in front of the camera, stiff as fuck, looking at the camera, sometimes looking fucking angry and pissed off with what he had to do. Then think of that guy when he was started to go on like CNN and do like TV interviews, and he'd be this fucking super stiff guy that was just yep, sir, yep, yep. He's trained himself, and as soon as Tom DeLonge went nuclear and they couldn't use him anymore, Lue Elizondo started going on the YouTube channels. He started speaking to small creators first, and then he built his way up because he knew he would have to do something like that interview with Joe Rogan, and he essentially gave himself a media training course.
Well, yeah, I think he had the book in
That's
mind.
interesting.
I think the second that he got dropped from TTSA and he found out that whole thing wasn't a thing anymore, I think he was pissed. I think he was very mad about it. I think they promised him the world. And then when it fell out from under him and he couldn't move his house and all this stuff, I think he got into probably a pretty angry state. I would have been pissed about it. I don't blame him for being mad about it. And I think he said, look, I got to go do this thing on my own. Why don't I start building up for this book and build my persona? I'm going to go hit YouTube. And here's the thing I'll say about this. And I know a lot of people talk about a lot of the behind the scenes with Lue on Twitter and the doxing and all the trouble and everything like that. I think in that phase of time, Lue really was pissed and he made some mistakes and he got some people kind of hyped up and moving people around because he knew his persona throughout the UFO community to build a grassroots persona. He didn't want that screwed with. And he felt like it was getting screwed with. And so I think it got away from him. He made some bad decisions on it. That's my take.
But the thing is, though, that the UFO community doesn't matter for what he's trying to do. It's so small. And you look at like what's the and well, you can have outliers, right? So if you want to take the likes of the cousins out because essentially they just post clips of things. So you take them out, you take the secure team 10s out because they are like they're the McDonald's of UFO stuff. You know, anyone can log on, go, oh my god, that looks really weird, and then go away. Same people that watch Mr. Beast will happily watch a Cousins Brothers YouTube video. So then you look at the guys that I still keep the people like this separate from the like UFO Twitter as well, the likes of Vetted. So he's like done great guns. He's gonna do his year stream, I think next weekend, and I think he said he should be hitting something like 30,000 subscribers, stuff like that. Still, one of the most successful UFO YouTubers. That's doing stuff more like what we're used to seeing as far as the ufology stuff goes, not just like the clip chasers. Only 30,000 subscribers, and he's earned every one of them, and I fucking love his channel. That's not what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that we are such a small part of the overall whole. And if anything, like if Lue would have gone hard in with UFO Twitter, it probably would have damaged him more having them on his side. You're better off just leaving that shit and like with who he is and what he wants to do, and just push out to the mainstream. These are still the guys that are right. Will be constantly slagging Joe Rogan off for having him on. Do you know what I mean? They'll be criticizing the most fucking successful single individual in media.
I think you need the UFO community to keep him relevant though for this long. Like the media didn't keep him relevant, man. Corbell talking about him, Knapp. I still think the base matters.
But they're a step.
Because he wouldn't have went on those podcasts, man. What would have been the point of rolling through the UFO community and building this grassroots kind of build up the way that he did?
He was just training with people who know the information. He was just training with people who know the information. We're such a small community. We're not the majority. We're the minority. This is just a testing and proving ground so they can source out what'll work, what doesn't work. His book is written for a mainstream audience. Joe Rogan has a mainstream audience. His interviews are mainstream. He's done all the testing. He's done all the work, or the people behind him has. He's moving forward, like, successfully. It'll bring more people into our community, and we'll have an opportunity to educate and inform and share with them, as long as we don't come at them like the crazy people that we are and alienate them. If we take the time to try and communicate our ideas effectively, we'll be better than just shouting at the moon that the person's book who they just read, I'm interested in this topic. I read that book. This is crazy. Tell me more. It's like, that guy's a son of a bitch and liar, and he's fucking the CIA, and you're a fool. And like, if we do that, dude, like that, it's done. Instead of being able to like, all right, we have a bunch of newbies who are coming in. Let's tell them some history and some background. There's good channels for that. I think it's an opportunity. I think it's an opportunity.
You brought up Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp there. Another two people that the UFO community has tried to tear apart.
Yeah, Knapp's made some wild claims though, dude. I mean, saying you know where the 115 is and all this stuff, but you don't go get it. There's wild claims that he's made though.
Buried in Bob's back garden. Tell you.
Yeah. There's stuff like that that's involved. I don't know. I still think that there's definitely value in their staying power in being around the UFO community, dude, over a time. I think Rogan and stuff, people like that, bro, they're not into it like crazy. But how do you think he finds out about, you know, Corbell and stuff like that? The Corbell documentary and stuff, that's not in the New York Times. That's coming out of the UFO community. That stuff makes it all the way to Rogan. That stuff starts from the bottom, dude. And so it does reach up. I think that there is, I can't just sit and say that there's no help.
I mean,
at
the
all
Corbell,
I learned about it from
Corbell
Netflix.
documentary was on Netflix.
Yeah, that's where I saw it. The Patient 17.
Right.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him until I saw Patient 17 on Netflix.
Yeah, but he built a career not on Netflix though.
Do you know what the thing is?
You know what I mean?
I'd seen Patient 17 and I'd seen The Hunt for the Skinwalkers.
Yeah.
That stuff's not mainstream. That's not New York Times, bro. That stuff's like super low key, right? I mean,
no.
It's on Netflix. It's very mainstream.
I didn't know Jeremy Corbell even did those until the Bob Lazar one came out. I think this subject is far bigger and far more mainstream than you think it is. It's just the levels of what people are into.
I get it.
Like, because everyone thinks aliens are cool. Everybody.
Well, Matt. So, because I would consider you a ufologist, yeah.
I mean, Grant Cameron's a ufologist, bro. That's a whole different level. You know,
you do yourself a misjustice. There, you are a ufologist now. As a ufologist that's read that book, what was the thing in that book that you thought, wow? What was the wow moment in that book?
I think the biggest wow moment for me, well, there was probably two of them. I think the way that he described how the bubbles could effectively be like the lights on crafts could have actually not really be lights. That could be the way that the blue shift happens around these gravity bubbles, and how you see multiple lights or bubbles because, you know, you have to find a way to encase an entire craft. And if you have a gravity bubble that distorts time, to be able to create that would take a ton of energy or a ton of mass. And so if you had a way to do that, I thought it was a really good theory of how that they can overlap these bubbles, make bigger craft, or even have smaller ones that are just in these smaller bubbles. And that was a really interesting thing. Whether or not that's the case, who knows? How put off I think it is,
like the cigar UFO with
right
each end, the sphere with the bubble surrounding it, and the triangle. Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
that for me that stood out.
Yeah.
What about the vampires? We got a show about vampires. Yeah. Go check out our podcast.
Definitely check out our podcast
every day.
I think I might have killed somebody yesterday.
You did.
Yeah, because she got in touch with us saying I was listening to your vampire podcast. I couldn't find the Random Nautica app you were talking about, so I sent her the link to Random Nautica and I said, "Look, if you find yourself in some sort of Blair Witch Project situation, it is not my fault.
It's Ollie's."
yeah, that was the cool part, bro. That was one of the two. I think the other one was his overall take where he talks about like the IPB, like essentially what he thinks the main goal of the interaction, like what this phenomenon is doing, is essentially like this giant recon mission. He says IPB was like initial preparation of the battlefield. So he said, when you look at all the activity that we see, they're coming down, they're looking at our nuclear arsenal, they're taking a look at what our potentials are with that. They're dancing around our craft, like in the 23-minute video, or like how Dietrich described the Tic Tac playing with their planes to see they're testing our abilities there. And then they're abducting us. They're kind of maybe like learning more about us physically. They're almost tracking us. You have implants that are involved, and you have like this whole process that when he looks at it, he says, this looks like they're assessing us, but at the same time, they're assessing us because we're increasing our technology, but they may feel that we're being irresponsible with it, or we may find that we're not really understanding the capability. And kind of what he talks about in the book is like a gorilla showing up to your front porch with a shotgun. You know, the gorilla could shoot the shotgun, dude. Doesn't know what the hell the shotgun is, but does that make a difference? Like it's a threat to you, and it's coming there, and they're trying to assess whether or not we're becoming a threat. It was very interesting, man. It was a really good take. or interesting takes. Yeah.
See, there's another thing I don't think we think about enough either. Is we always end up going down the national security route, and it's because of technology. We need to keep the technology secret because we might need it for a war. I don't think that's the most important thing of this chat, because now you've got because if I'm not wrong, the abduction aspect has been something that's kept itself out of the modern disclosure movement for a while, hasn't it? I think.
Kinda. I mean, it's always there, but like it's not as big as it was,
No, but I
in
mean
the
by
past,
these
yeah.
people, so by the likes of
Oh.
Grush and stuff like that, like in this
Yeah,
modern
yeah.
movement, it's been absent. So this all of a sudden turning up with Lue Elizondo in his book and on Joe Rogan, I found quite noteworthy. I think it's a bigger problem. Let's say this isn't some sort of like government psyop that wants us to believe in aliens or something like that. And in this respect, it doesn't even matter whether it's aliens. It could be fucking leprechauns. It doesn't matter. But if you all of a sudden have to turn around and essentially every government in the world turn around to its people and said, yeah, not only can we not really keep you safe from foreign countries, we can't even keep you safe when you go to sleep. Like, this whole thing of like when you kiss your kids goodnight and they come in, you're going, oh, I think I heard a monster. And you say, monsters aren't real. Sorry, you've been lying to your children forever. Monsters are very much real and they fucking take us.
I haven't been lying to my kids. I always tell them monsters are real. I've been doing the show a while with you guys. Monsters are real. I think that the truth may even be more terrifying than that if we really take a second to think about it. I think it's more than just they can take you at any time. I think that maybe they're
taken and not put back.
Better yet, maybe they're only interested in a select few. Maybe the rest are just cattle. They got their favorite prized pig, right? They're watching them breed. They're watching them go along, or whatever. Just using it as an analogy. That's their boy. That's their family. That's the one they talk to. That's the one they communicate with. What about everyone else? I don't give a shit. Let's hunt them. Let's have some fun.
Most dangerous game we're getting to play with, yeah.
If we're talking about the monsters, then like, what about the bit with the blue orbs?
Yeah,
where he's talking about to watch out for the blue orbs.
I've seen that.
You've seen the blue ones.
Yeah. Well, I told you that story. I think I've related on here when I was with two of my friends and we were sky watching. The light that we saw was blue when they started getting into the fight. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which was crazy. That was a pretty wild experience, especially for both of those guys. That I was like, this is really happening right now. I'm amazed that it didn't devolve into something more. And it was going to. And then the light went away. And they went back to normal. And I was like, what just happened? And both of them just sat down embarrassed. Like they were just totally embarrassed.
Well, this is it. I mean, he talks about these blue orbs being dangerous, but he didn't elaborate why they're dangerous.
If you go to the Skinwalker Ranch, they have different colored orbs do different things. One of the colored orbs,
at least I don't think he did.
Yeah, he didn't. They just are a warning, right? And in case study, and our resident ufologist will be able to do that. There's plenty of accounts of people seeing lights and it affecting them emotionally, or like an emotional. There's some tie there. There's something going on, which leads me to believe that people like even when Lou was talking about it on the Joe Rogan, I believe it was Joe Rogan when they were talking about the ships, or no, Joe Rogan was talking about it after talking to super nerd. What's his name? I always forget it.
Who, Lazar?
Lazar, thank you.
Yeah. Laser. I like to call him Laser.
I was thinking Lazarus, but whatever. Yeah, you're right. I was like,
it works.
Lazarus. It works. But when he talks about like there's you interface with the ship, there's some component like that think thought happening. If there's some component of if that is technology to them, right? Yes. Like, share, subscribe. Check out our podcast. We post daily. If everybody who watches this checked out our podcast that we post daily, it's a game changer for us. It's a game changer for us. And yes, give us 5-star reviews on Spotify and Spreaker, please. But
we've currently got 4 times the amount of 5-star reviews as Lue Elizondo's book.
Wow.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Good.
we
need 50 times the amount, and then we'll be on track.
Yeah.
This is truly the heartbeat of ufology right here.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. So we're all here. No. So there's some kind of interface with emotions, consciousness, neural, whatever. There is something there, and these things are reported together. I don't know, man. It's spooky stuff. That the spooky stuff is never what's taken credibly, right? Everyone wants to be nuts and bolts. Everyone wants it to be that.
They're afraid to make the leap, Dave. They're afraid to go ahead and talk to their friends and claim that that's real. You know, they're waiting to be able to be comfortable with proof to be able to go take that and about to their friends and their family members. I think that's why that's the scary part about moving with the woo. Yeah,
you're right. We need to have a pride day. Come out of the woo closet. Come out of the woo closet. Let us all stand united behind our banner. We need to come up with a banner.
We need to start a disclosure day.
I love hearing about the woo, dude. I love hearing the stories. I don't hate hearing about the orb stories and stuff like that. It doesn't anger me, or I just want to be able to have more. I mean, I've had my own sighting. I mean, I've seen orbs, lights in the sky. I mean, I know that there's stuff to that. It's just how far can I take it? You know, I don't know. It's interesting. When can I take that to someone with some proof of like, this is what I seen. You can believe that. You know what I mean?
And I think this is relevant. It's like S. Hammers. I still hope it's nuts and bolts craft. They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
I agree.
One thing I've taken away from the interview in the book is that Bob Lazar is telling the truth. He did work on something S4 does like. This is me, Spain, just Dave. This is just my opinion. That it does exist. It is real. It is a place. These crafts are there. And I do tend to lean towards that they were excavated. Because I've always kind of wondered if this alien phenomenon, they say it's AI or it's us from the future. What if it's us from the past? What if it's a branch of civilization that didn't lose its technology? It survived natural cataclysms and it's just separated from the rest of us. They're like, dude, we've been underground for 150 years advancing, and we come back up and we're like, surely they're going to have something up there for the survivors. They're all hunter gatherers, bro. They're like, huh.
They're in their fallout shelters. Yeah.
Let's just keep doing our thing, man.
What about this though? What about it's AI that, or maybe it's people that have come from the past that aren't from here. Maybe it's past other civilizations. That's what I wonder about. I feel like the universe is so much older than we understand. And I think there's opportunity that people have already freaking been here and gone, and maybe some stayed. So it doesn't have to be just us from nature right here. That's how we evolved from, you know?
Yeah, I like this too from Mr. DBQ. I love stories, but I need meat in the story. It has to have legs. No, I'm with you. The strangest part though is when these people who are giving us the disclosure start going on to the other externalities from the like we saw a light in the sky. Cool. What were the effects? Now we're talking about the externalities of seeing a light in the sky, like emotional effect. Just these people were happy. This person can't remember this. That's all data for the story. We just don't understand how it's connected. It's, they brought it up in the interview with Joe Rogan that, magic is just, future science. It's future technology. It's technology we don't yet understand. And I believe that to a great degree. It's something else to try and figure out what's going on. Like when they say, what is it, the image of the orbs when they see it, or the different craft have been described, squares with circles or circles with squares and triangles inside them. That has always appeared to me. So this is going to be a side note before we get back on. I apologize. Most of what we see, like with our eyes, we don't actually see. Our brain interprets and puts it together. Right? I don't know if everyone knows that. Feel free to Google check it. It's there, right? It's definitely there. We don't really see everything. Our brain puts it together. There's huge holes in our vision. And that's just with objects we know that are around us, right? We know that daily things. If you had something, and just throwing this out there, that was from a higher dimension. It's a 6-dimensional object that comes in. How could your brain wrestle that?
Yeah.
It might just throw into geometric patterns and stack it and say, it's either this or you're going to leak out of your brain's going to leak out of the nose. Like you can't process what you're seeing. I've always thought that made more sense for that, but just onto the Lue Elizondo.
I like what you said. Yeah, I like what you said.
An interesting idea with the idea that these craft that are out Area 51 are excavated and are artifacts that were found. Like my new favorite thing is to look into is to do this sort of old world history, like mud flood type stuff that's going on. I've said it before. I know I've turned on to a few of our listeners to it before. The On My Lunch Break YouTube channel is worth hours of your time watching that guy. I think now, from looking at stuff from like the World's Fairs and things like that, our history is so much different than what we've been told it is, even up to like a couple of 100 years ago, let alone thousands of years ago. So what if the craft we've found was much newer than what we would think of that? Because if you think of things being dug up, we instantly go back to like the Machu Picchu or the pyramids and stuff like that. So what if this technology we've dug up is much more modern, but is from the last civilization that was around, that was seemed to be far more technologically advanced? That again, just go and look at the World's Fairs and the constructions that were supposedly thrown up in a year, like cities to take millions of people to. Millions of people went to that, and it always ends in all these buildings end in some sort of fire. There's been great fires throughout all major cities that have took huge chunks of history away, and it's far too much for me to try and explain the sort of the stuff that this guy goes into like quickly.
You look at actual old buildings, like real
modern architecture. Yeah. The funny thing is, I've been to the cathedral in the middle of Milan, and I'm so upset with myself for not being interested in this stuff, because I just went there. Oh my god, that's so cool! Imagine, imagine all the people dangling off ropes with chisels, like chiseling that away. And then I think to myself now, going, yeah, imagine that. And then I imagine that that's not fucking possible to do that sort of stuff. And but the thing I'm trying to get to with this with the craft is, what if the craft is stuff that was left over that has been discovered from like a time gone or a time hidden from us? But what if the craft that we've excavated have nothing to do with UFOs? What if they're completely separate phenomena? So we're finding ancient human craft, but the UFO phenomena has always been going on throughout time.
Yeah.
So are we conflating the lights in the sky with like nuts and bolts technology? Like Dave said, the two don't need to be mutually exclusive, but also the two don't necessarily have to be connected, and you can have both. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
I mean, I agree with you. I think if there was like an angel or demons kind of like component to this, why would an angel need a craft? You know, why would you dig up an angel's chariot and out of the ground, right? I mean, if
why are the monsters in Doom have bazookas?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I still think there are multiple parts to the phenomenon. I don't think it's just one. People like to just put it in one box, though, right? It's comfy, cozy, but I think that's way too narrow-minded, dude. When you look at just the range of cases from orbs to discs, I mean, you could even throw, some people feel like ghosts encounters. I mean, those are maybe interdimensional beings that are possible that's there. So yeah, I agree with you, dude. It's probably multiple things. Yeah.
Well, the disc seems to have vanished in modern day ufology. You know, we don't really speak much about the discs anymore. Like in terms of like sightings, you don't hear it. Like I saw it. You don't hear like somebody come out and go, check this footage out of this disc UFO. You know, I can't remember the last time I saw one, other than the gimbal that looks a bit disky looking. But apart from that,
you hear triangles, you hear wedges, you hear stuff like that that's out there. I feel like you hear a lot of orbs, dude. Orbs are what you're hearing the most of right now.
Orbs are the thing.
Yeah.
Lights in the sky, man. They're just lights in the sky. Like they're not that hard to see. I don't believe they're that hard to see, especially if you're in the right location.
Dave, we did
see lights in the sky. Yeah.
Several.
Yeah, I can. It's if you're in the right location, you can damn near guarantee lights in the sky if it's a clear night. You know, it's.
I think
But
at
what
one
is
point
it?
there was
Light the sky.
3 moving at the same time,
Yeah,
all different directions. Not taking U-turns and that
Yeah.
would have been.
yeah.
But
That's some nights. Other nights, it's like, well, is it a satellite? It's like, probably not. But when you live near a secret military base,
no, there were different speeds. There was a lot of different speeds.
yeah, like I said, when you live near a secret military base, like you don't know. You don't know. I think the thing is, you just got to go somewhere where there's like a lot of radiation or a nuclear component. Start looking at the sky around there, and you'll start to see things. Because whatever it is, the phenomenon seems to have a fascination with that. You know.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. How he's all Lue is all in on it's none of our tech. We've not figured anything out. It's none of us. Like I don't personally agree with him. I think that Tic Tacs are ours. I think if we had the tech, we've probably figured it out somewhat, at least to be able to fly it. Like the shotgun, we could probably shoot the shotgun. You know, we probably couldn't remake it maybe or to the same degree. But I think that we've gotten somewhere with it. What do you guys think about that? He's all in. It's not us.
Where'd you get the ammo from though? With the shotgun analogy, you get 2 goes with it.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I think it is not us. I think we have unbelievably advanced stuff. Sure. I think our drone technology is pretty advanced. It's not us.
I'm going to throw something out there.
It's not us.
See, we've got, well, you Americans have. You've got your Lues, your Grush. What about the other countries? Like, you don't get
other countries. What the fuck?
You don't get like.
We're talking about people that matter, Ollie.
No,
hey, didn't we go over this already?
What I'm saying here is you don't get a Russian Lue saying that this is not our tech.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah.
You don't unless there is, and we're just not watching those videos.
Well, he's the guy that smiled, so you'll never hear from him again.
Yeah, like it's America that talks about this tech and possibly the Americans.
Ollie.
You Americans,
the Chinese media put video of a floating city on their media.
I remember that. Yeah,
it's not the fact that other countries don't talk about this shit. It's that we don't get to hear about it. We're so enamored by Western freedom that we don't realize that Western freedom keeps us away from the rest of the world, just the same as North Korea keeps their internet out. We're still filtered.
A lot of truth in that.
It's interesting, yeah.
I mean, look at the face rippers, right? Face rippers in Peru and into Brazil and whatnot. That everyone's like, it's miners and jetpacks. Roll on. And why? Well, they're villagers. They're brown villagers in Peru and Brazil. They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
I'm starting to think the people with the purple hair are right. We might all be racists.
A little bit. At least the media is, or they're definitely relying on the racist bias. And I cannot express to you how much it hurts me to say these things, but they definitely rely on the racist bias of the majority of people to just disregard it. Where did it come from? Whatever.
The patriarchy. Well, sorry, I'm too far.
Yeah, take that back a couple steps. But there's truth in it though. Like we're not going to look into that. The clobber. I'm face rippers. We'll go with face rippers. The body's washing up. People giving eyewitness testimony. Other people that we've shot them off. We shot them. They went down. They got back up and they flew off on like a hoverboard. All of that, I believe, is American technology, or at least Earth technology. I don't think it's aliens. I think there's something else going on there that is using highly advanced technology to get trophies in the worst of ways.
I would love to ask Lue about that case in Peru.
I feel like he wouldn't touch it. I feel like he just wouldn't touch it, to be honest.
I feel like
I don't think it's in his wheelhouse.
On him. Yeah, I don't think Ollie would have a black mask for him, and then he'd wake up in the middle of Peru getting chased in the next fucking episode of Hunger Games.
His skin's not supple enough. Too many modern preservatives in the food. That's why they go down there. All natural trophies.
Well, I mean, well, he also kind of mentioned, you know, we always try to get a good photo of a UFO, right? And it's always blurry. You know, that was part of his kind of warp bubble theory, was that when you have that blue shift, it messes with the light. So when you take a photo, it's going to look bad because the way the light is interacting with the inside of that bubble in that craft. You know, what do you guys think about that? I thought that was a pretty interesting take too.
Makes sense. I mean, that's been sort of thrown around for quite a while, hasn't it? But about all paranormal, supernatural type events is that the events themselves don't lend themselves to being captured. I mean, in both scenarios, be it technology or be it dealing with things from like different dimensions, different realms, like parallel realities, whatever you want to say, it would make sense that like it's quite kind of difficult to document.
Well, there's also something to it too. Like, not just we understand so little of what's projected and what's collected and how things are sensed in between, right? Like your night vision security cameras broadcast IR light. They bathe the area in IR light. But because we can't see it, we just assume, that's us being able to see in night. Like, that's. But what if something else is absolutely able to perceive that? And they're like, I wonder why they're flooding that whole house with light like that. They think it'll say, like Predator 2, when they're like, we can believe it can only see in, infrared. So they're using UV and the thing pops up there and starts going through all the spectrums till it finds them. Like, that thinking is very militaristic. It's okay. This is what we know. This is what we're going to base all assumptions and operations, because this is workable facts that we have. Okay, I get that. But the planners, thinkers, and the good conspiracy theorists out here in the world are like, wait a minute. Who said like why is it so hard to get a ghost on a security camera? Maybe whatever that thing is can see the IR light. It's like, I'm not walking through a spotlight. That's weird. It's a little creepy. This is my bathroom. Go on.
Yeah, it's like that argument whether or not they're intentionally being deceptive. They're creating the blur versus just the technology effect. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Yeah, for sure. What was your favorite part of the book, Dave?
His childhood.
Why is that? What stuck out to you the most?
It's not one thing. I like to understand what makes someone, the psychology, like, and I'm not a Freudian guy. I don't think your childhood dictates your whole life, but it definitely shows how you get somewhere. Like, he was programmed from a kid. He was built for a purpose. He was built for a purpose that didn't go anywhere, and then he was able to find that sense of belonging. He went to college and still chose to enlist. Like, he could have gone a different path, but he wanted this way. He's a believer, right? He's a believer. He's someone who had a tumultuous father figure. He had that mother. It makes sense that he would go into the military. It makes sense that he would go into service. He had the prerequisite skills. His father had CIA connections that he definitely kind of dances around. But if you look into the history of it, it's there, right? So that means those connections are probably throughout his life. It's interesting. It's interesting to see who he is. And I got to be honest, to toot my own horn, that I was 100% right on my first estimations of the guy. I was spot on. I'm still spot on when it comes to who he is as a person. He's someone that believes in God and country, and he will do anything for that purpose. And he can do no wrong in pursuit of that purpose, because he's serving something higher than himself, right? And it allows him to do the kinds of things that he probably wanted to do.
I mean, you've met people like that, right?
Oh, I know people like that.
Yeah.
I was just hanging out Friday night with people like that.
So, I mean, so like when you're reading it, that's like, you're just like, oh, I see this. I know this. I know you,
Oh yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know guys like him. I know guys.
Yeah, I know what you
that
mean.
Profile. Yeah. That, with a clear conscience will do anything they like. It's all fine. People are like, he wouldn't, how could he? He's evil. He's not. He's a family man. He believes in America. He believes in his duty. He believes in his sacred honor. If he was any of the things so many people have accused him of, he would just fully disclose. He doesn't. He honors his commitments and his oath and all the promises and vows he's kept in.
But he still has clearance. He still has clearance.
Yeah, that's a different topic. But so that's how I see him. I think that is the greatest insight. If I'll re-listen to the book, those are the parts I'm most interested in, because when I understand that, I can get a better view of who Lue is, and I can understand what he's saying and why he's saying it. All the other data for everything else already exists, and we all follow it. We all follow the stories and the disclosures and this and that. People want to break down to the nuances. That's cool. But if you can understand the person, then you're listening to how he's saying something, why he would be doing this, why he is the perfect fit to be doing what he's doing. The dedication that went along with to get him where he is to be on Joe Rogan, right? From being a guy who's, working on Guantanamo Bay and working with those things and, a believer. One of the things everyone's skipping over is his remote viewing and the people that he was involved with in that. Those are all top tier dudes, right? Those are all top tier guys. And when he's talking about like him using that as a weaponized form, that's one of the first times we've really heard that mentioned, that remote viewing was weaponized, right? At least to torture someone in their sleep.
Which he says he's against that, in the book. He's like, we shouldn't be used for all this. And, it's interesting because what was it in Rogan? Or maybe it was in the News Nation interview where he said, maybe we shouldn't, maybe kind of regretful about that, Yeah. That's interesting too. Yeah.
You know what? Well, SWAT teams shouldn't fill buildings with, OC gas and then throw in flashbangs to ignite the air. Yet they still do when they can't get someone out. Right. I mean, it's wrong and you shouldn't do it, but it's absolutely what they will do. So it's one thing to say like, you shouldn't do it. You're right. You shouldn't do it, but you're going to do it. They're going to continue to do it. You may disagree with it and feel bad because if and I think the other thing is whether you believe in karmic effects or not, if you're using your spirit to do something, again, this is a little off topic, but if you're using your spirit to do something like that, how does it damage your spirit when you're clearly using it for something that shouldn't be done? You still do it, right? Like, we shouldn't have shot those people. We still shot them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the old joke, it's a terrible joke and people are going to be offended. You'll live. What's the first thing you feel when you shoot a civilian? Recoil.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean.
You shouldn't have done that. Well, it's done. Roll on. It's not going to be the first or last time, you know? So, yeah.
Do you guys think, how much more do you think this guy knows about this subject that he's not revealing?
Not too much more. I don't think so. The problem I have with it, Ali, that I got really a really good grasp, I feel like, from the book, is that he's never had his hands in the legacy program. He never has. He's never really been. He's worked with a lot of modern stuff in the Pentagon, a lot of modern footage, modern stuff. They were locked out of the stuff when you're talking like Lockheed, Boeing, the legacy lore stuff. They attempted to try to get a hold of some of that stuff, but they never really did. Like he talks about how one of his superiors told him that they had gotten a breakdown document of an autopsy and stuff like that. But he never says he hadn't seen any of that. These were all like stories that were brought to him. So I think maybe the modern stuff he's got a really good grasp on, like 2008, 4, maybe even some 2004, some of that previous stuff. But when we're talking 40s, 50s, 60s, nah, bro. I don't think he's got into that area. I think all of OSAP, Lukatsky, everybody was snowed right out of anything like that. They couldn't get their hands on it. Yeah,
I thought it was interesting that he handpicked those videos.
Well, those are the ones he felt like he could get out, right? The resolution was bad enough.
What about the videos that he do? What about the videos that he saw that he didn't release?
That's key.
Sure.
And the kicker is, like, he can talk about that in a skiff with approved Congress people now. Like those things have been happened. So you got to wonder how many of them have at least heard it. While they're not cleared to watch the videos themselves, they can get the accounts from guys like him if they're willing to do it. I'm curious how much that's actually going on. Probably not a lot. I think in the U.S., most politicians and Congress people aren't really concerned with it. They're just concerned with getting a vote, getting a bump of cocaine and getting donors. Not necessarily in that order. So we're kind of lost there, especially with what's going on in the political climate. I don't see a lot coming out of this. Again, I think it's factions of the intelligence community all not necessarily working in concert together. And he's definitely talked about that, right? Like, I think it's interesting that they post that the religious side tries to keep this topic at bay and down because it's demons. You're messing with demons. You're messing with evil. We're shutting it down.
He brings up the Collins elite.
Correct.
Yes, he did.
I mean, that was a pretty shocking part, I guess, too. You could add that in there too. Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Yeah, so you can definitely, like that alone, there's two sides here. There's two sides fighting this thing out. Both have their own end goals, whatever that is, right? Whether one doesn't want these things talked about, like I think that's interesting. Why not? If it already exists and it is what you say, shouldn't people be more equipped to deal with it?
Yeah.
Who was it that told him it was demons? It was the general.
It was Woods. I can't remember. I forget his first name. Something Woods. He
But
kind of
this
threatened him,
this
from
is
I
the
remember.
guy.
too.
Yeah, this is the guy who he really respected as well.
Yeah, they were close friends, and the kind of threat that he kind of threw his way really threw Lue off. Suppose he was like, "Hey, now I can see just how dark some of these people I think are friends around here can go, and they will go on a turn of a hat." You know.
But what I couldn't work out is if, because he didn't say either way, is if he believes it's possibly that now.
I think he believes what he's told to believe.
I agree with you on that.
I'm just saying, why
Big time. I agree with you on that. Yeah.
I don't. I'm gonna be real. I would love to have him on the show and to get his own opinion. It's never
yeah.
gonna happen. I think he's seen some weird things, and they've told him what it is, and he's not questioning it.
I agree with you. I think that first dinner with OSAP, with Hal and everybody, and the General Uchoa, the Brazilian general, where they talked about Claris, he was just on board insta. All these people are all credentialed. There's no way you could deny these people. He didn't really question. That was before he went in and looked through the FOIA and went and searched through the Pentagon computers, and he was right away there, dude. But that's kind of a concern for me, though, a little bit. You know, I wanted him. I want a little bit less face value from him. You know.
Wouldn't you be, though, if someone asked you to be on a secret government program to study UFOs? Would you not be like, okay, this sounds awesome?
Sure. It's definitely, I'm not saying it's not likely, but I mean, it's still something to, I think, draws a little bit of concern. You know, anything at face value that could be, especially when you don't have a background. Like if you're going to believe him, he said he didn't even watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a background and the first dinner you go to because you know some of these people, respect them, you're just insta on board. I don't know, but that's why I agree with you, Dave. I think for sure he's just saying what he's told. Yeah.
Do you think he's watched it now?
No, I don't think he has.
Really?
Mm-mm.
I think you know who Bob Lazar is. I think that
really.
was a weird one, but yeah.
I don't think he's too interested in the history of the subject. I think he's interested in the goal and what he's trying to achieve. If you look at like Radiance, I believe it is Radiance Technologies, the things they're involved with, the people they're involved with, there's a goal here. There's teams moving forward, right? So we know that someone associated with Lue at least they work at the same place. That's all we can say, right? They work at the same place. They're contracted, whatever. Now, granted, Travis Taylor's contracted in lots of places, but that also links them into the Skinwalker Ranch phenomenon.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That kind of plays with what TTSA wanted to do, right? They wanted TV shows, which they did. They got some with Lue, and all that. He's also talked about the material. They went and got tested. He was pretty sketchy about that. We didn't get to hear more about it, right? There's things going on. They're wanting to bring this, I think, to more people, to the consciousness of more people. The question is why? What narrative do they really want, and why? I don't know.
I don't know either, dude. I mean, I've heard people speculate to try to like get some of this technology out of into the open so the contractors can start making money with it and start putting it out in the public. It's possible, but then you got to look at Lue as a complete psyop then for the private sector. You know what I mean? You have to look at him in that direction. That he's there to move this narrative to get some of it out. I don't know.
I don't think that makes sense either. You know, it's
you don't think so?
No, because it's like we didn't have to pretend fairies were real to bring CDs out. It was just like technology just moved on. There was another innovation. You know, it's the it was the same with like nobody asked questions when hard drives started to become big enough and we could fit them in iPods, and you could fit your entire music collection in an iPod instead of that like the first MP3 player you had, which you could fit 3 songs on or 3 albums on. you just bring them out. Same with iPads. Like, I mean, I still to this day, I think that like the first time I held an iPad was one of the wildest.
Oh yeah,
Like things where you
Great.
think, oh shit, I can read the internet like a magazine now. That's fucking crazy.
That's something
but
you
yeah,
dreamt about as a kid,
yeah,
like having
but
some sort of.
but that didn't need. And don't get me wrong, it very well fucking might have been something that was back engineered from something that was on a fucking spaceship that crashed at Roswell, but they didn't need to say it to sell it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I subscribe to that. I'm just saying this is
No,
stuff
no,
you
no.
hear. This is
Yeah.
what you hear, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I mean, the only push, I guess, to play devil's advocate is I would say that, going from a CD player to an iPod is probably not going. It's probably less a jump than 7047 to a Tic Tac, dude. I mean, you're talking about a massive physics leap. It's a gigantic leap in technology, way larger than a CD to an iPod, right? So
How about
I don't know. Yeah,
how about going from a record to an iPod? Think of it that way. No,
I still don't think it's enough, but it's you're getting warmer, right?
Think about the idea that,
You know?
or the idea that one day we could make phone calls, like, and at best text, and even that didn't roll out immediately.
Sure.
And within a few short years, we have all of the knowledge of human history in our pockets at all times.
Right.
That feels like just as big a jump as a 747 to a Tic Tac.
You're getting closer for sure, but but the leap is there. I think that
I think the thing you got to remember is none of us have actually seen a Tic Tac move. Really, we've seen we've seen some flare footage that you can't really get a full analysis of the speed and what have you. And I know Lou was like said that some debunkers have said that it's not going as fast as it is, and he was kind of respectful in like, well, that's their opinion on this, but when it comes to the pilots know what the hell they're talking about.
Well, this was the one I will always go back to with that was, remember the photograph from the jet of the silver thing, like the silver like blob, balloon shaped blob that the fighter pilot took a picture of. And because it vaguely resembled a Batman balloon, people are like, "Oh, it's fucking Batman balloon." Like that's so. This is, yeah. I said that this is where I always lean on the side of the military people, because like no one that said that thing was a Batman balloon like thought for themselves. I mean, how fast does a F-16 go, Dave?
Why would I know that?
You've got a better idea than I do.
Pretty fast.
Pretty fast. But
there's someone in Dave's neck of the woods that would know.
I know a guy who would know.
Was like 4,000, 3,000, 4,000 miles per hour somewhere.
I have no idea.
Fast.
Yeah.
But you know what it's too fast for? It's too fast to take a photograph from your iPhone of a fucking balloon out the window. That's what it is. I can't take the picture of a tree from my iPhone out of a moving car window. I can't take a picture of a stationary tree. So like it fucking winds me up no end.
Do you know what the UFO
debunking backflips?
Yeah, the debunkers that because let's face it, a lot of the debunkers know quite a bit about UFO history because they look it up.
Sure.
That Batman balloon, yeah. You know what it does look like? The boomerang UFO.
Yeah.
That a lot of like pilots back in like World War II reported ones looking like boomerangs.
Mm-hmm. The first UFOs seen by Kenneth Arnold were boomerang shaped, weren't they?
I'm just saying.
I didn't know Batman balloons were so prevalent back then.
I didn't know they could fly at like 16,000 feet either, Dave, but here we are.
There you go.
Maybe it was really Batman's plane. Maybe that's really what
it was. I did think it was really funny when it flew up and made a sign on the moon and then went back down.
That was a good one. That was a good movie.
But what about? Oh, go ahead.
No, I have nothing to say. I was just going to fill the time.
I was going to say,
thanks, Dave.
I guess. I mean, I don't know how long you guys are trying to go. I mean, but What do you guys see forward for him at this point? I mean, I've already kind of gave my opinion. I think we're not going to get much more at all from him. What do you guys see?
Well, he's just launched a YouTube channel. So I don't think he's launched that for no reason. Something's going to go there.
Yeah, I'm waiting for his OnlyFans.
I mean, I know he's saying he's not going anywhere as far as the UAPDA. Like they're gonna keep bashing that thing every year until it goes through. I'm not really sold on that. I think he doesn't really control that. I think Congress attention controls that whole story, but it's
I
interesting.
think that's his next spot. I think his next.
You think he'll run?
No. I think his next role.
Spot. Yeah.
Yeah, his next role in the movie that is UFO disclosure will be that he will give evidence at the next Congress hearing. The next.
Oh, you think he will go testify?
Yeah, he's already said he will do. So I can't see him not doing.
Well, here you go. I can't remember if he actually says anything he's going to be doing next, but he just says he's just launched his YouTube channel.
Do you know what? Sorry, just pause that for a second, Ollie.
And hopefully it's better than the Garth Brooks intro.
He is as easy to predict what he will be wearing as the prick from the Ukraine.
Oh. What do you do?
Trying to get him on, like.
What do you do when you hit play and he goes?
We're not getting Zelensky.
What do you do when you hit play and he goes? I heard you guys like to talk, and I really like that. Full Garth Brooks. Oh my god.
No, not you mean. He's got a style, hasn't he, Lee? That you can kind of, what he's going to wear the next time you see him. Yeah.
It's called a Dexter wardrobe.
Hi, everybody out there in YouTube. I'm Lue Elizondo, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I know I've been a little bit quiet recently over the last few years, but I think the time has come, time is right for me to have a conversation with you one-on-one. Some of you may know that I just recently finished an interview on the one and only Joe Rogan Experience. And it was an amazing experience nonetheless. It was an incredible opportunity. I chose to use YouTube so I have a chance to engage with each and every one of you more one-on-one, a little bit more intimately, and maybe address more thoroughly some of your questions you may have for me. So please feel free to drop any questions or comments you have down below.
Well, I'm more than happy for him to interact with us intimately.
He seems like a cuddler.
I'd feel safe. Nighttime. Yeah, when it's time to go to sleep. If someone comes in that room, they're fucked.
That might be time for you to go to sleep, though.
Yeah, so are you, though.
What are you saying about my clothes, Lee?
I now need him to protect me from Zelensky.
I would like to see him interact more with the UFO community, which they're definitely not.
I'd like to do it for him to do it on more of a professional basis. Some of them,
yeah. I think he's waiting on orders. Everyone's going to wait and see how this plays out.
Congress?
Mm-hmm. What's that?
Do you think you'll ever see him in front of Congress?
Sure, if they tell him to.
Yeah, I think that's his next move. He was asked, and he said, was it the Ross Coulthard interview where he was asked if he testified before Congress?
I don't know.
I think it was Ross Coulthard. If it was, then he definitely is doing, because there is literally there is no question in an interview with Ross Coulthard that he wouldn't have been given beforehand. You don't just sit down and do interviews with those people. Fuck it, like if you, in my fucking limited knowledge of having to do interviews with people, even bands, if you sit down to do an interview with like a enemy or someone like that, they give you the questions they're going to ask you before they ask them.
Yes. He has so many things he can't talk about.
Yeah.
And the only thing anyone in the UFO community will want to know are those things, and he's not going to talk to you about them. So it's into a corner. So where do they go next? Like, where do they go next? What's the point? Regular podcast? He's not going to do that. It's going to be curious to see what they do with it. I think they're just pressure testing everything. They're seeing the response. I guarantee you someone's going to watch this show along with the hundreds of others, small ones that have been done. It's just background research.
I really like his shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, like
I
he wears
a shirt like that.
It's because it suits him. That's why he keeps wearing those things. It's because it suits him.
Guys, fucking man up, grow a pair. All right.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, he's got good taste in hats.
I hate that team.
Lou doesn't.
Yeah. How do you know?
Because that's the hat that he's got on.
Is that the hat he has on because he likes the team, or is it the hat they all put it on to?
This bit's black.
Yeah, maybe they're told him to wear that so he's relatable.
I was going to say they told him to wear it.
For the podcast, it's a New York Yankees hat.
What's this hat? Well, it's baseball. I don't know what that is. Yeah, but you're going to wear it.
Yeah, it's going to make you relatable that you have a team. We're going to make it look worn. Okay.
I got it.
Well, here we go, sports fans.
Who's your favorite
New York
Yankees
hat
pitcher?
tested well.
What do you think his next move is, Matt?
I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit more I'm a little bit more pessimistic. Pessimistic, if I could speak about it. I don't know. I don't know if I actually see him going to Congress. I just don't know. I think he should have went probably the first time. He should have been there with Fravor and Grosh. I don't see why he wouldn't have gone to that. It would have been big support for them to have him there. So yeah, I think that in the near future he'll continue the book run. He'll go on Tucker. He gave Tucker a little thank you at the end of the book, so there's no way he's not going to do Tucker. That kind of sealed that for me. But I don't know. It depends on how big the book is, man. How well the book does. I think money is a big part of this process for him, whether he's a believer or not. I think you can be a believer in the topic and still want to make money at the same time. So I think that there's a big portion of that for him. But I think him and Grush both have potential right now to fade into the mist here, especially if the UAPDA gets kind of crushed again and Congress starts to lose hope maybe early next year. They might bail out. I mean, I don't know what's left for them. Like this is my thing. I don't mean to go on a rant here and take up a bunch of this, but Congress is kind of, yeah, I know, but like Congress is kind of the last stop, dude. Other than like getting like a Snowden style whistleblower, Congress is like your last station that you can push at. And when Lue says his whole goal is to continue to push forward and try to push through Congress and get this done, when that hold he loses the hold. Where does he go next? It's kind of done. What's he going to write another book? Go to the New York Times again? There's not really, it's been done. He's kind of eliminated every option that he has to push forward except for Congress. And it's weakening right now with Congress. It's weakening.
Well, I mean, anybody in this field, and I don't blame anybody for doing this, they're going to want to make some money. He's going to want to make some money off that book, which is fair enough. That's if you're going to put your neck out, at least make some money off it. I'll tell you what I see happening. He's friends with Corbell. I can see a documentary coming.
He's got a documentary coming. Dan Farah,
I can see Corbell doing Lue's kind of like same thing that he did with Bob Lazar. Who's to say that he's not already been doing that behind the scenes?
Kinky, very kinky.
That would do numbers.
Yeah, he's got to spin
it. If you want to bring it to a wider audience, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, but he's got to spin what he's already said, though, because he's saying he's here for disclosure. He wants to pressure the government to put this stuff out. And if he can't pressure the government anymore, what's like the new spin? Like, where are you putting pressure?
I don't think he is. I think his job is not to put pressure on anyone. It is to seed tidbits of information and get conversations started in particular directions. And the worst way to get a conversation started is to give someone the initial talking points. What you want to do is you want to feed them to them, right? You want to set the idea so people carry. So what are the ideas we could take away with the talking points where I think the conversation is going to go next? I think the panda narrative that he was putting out that, when they work with pandas, they wear panda suits. I think you're going to see the UFO community in the next couple of years. They're going to transition to they're walking among us and they look like us. They're already here.
Well, like the demon faces kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
like,
demon faces. The idea is being seeded. And it's explained away. I think that's going to be a continued thing. That's how you set an idea in someone else's head that they then believe was theirs. They're listening to a conversation that maybe referenced a drop here and a drop there, and someone's mind who's into the subject starts putting it together. They're just programming it into the consciousness of all the conspiracy theorists to drive it up, and then it'll be a crazy thing, and a couple years later, they'll be like, oh, hey, guess what's going on here?
So he's another cog in the wheel, like just he's
100%.
another cog in the wheel. Yeah, okay.
It shows how these things soak into, because this is the other thing that I don't think we realize is that none of this stuff is for us. This is all for younger people.
Yes,
like and much younger people, because it's the much younger. Because there's a weird thing, there's a weird thing with stuff and children where they sort of soak up what's in the zeitgeist really easily. It's why all of a sudden, do you remember when you were a kid and like something would come out, like be it like the X-Men cartoon, or I suppose in like more recent history it would be Minecraft, and from nowhere, from what seems like nowhere, all of a sudden kids can make incredible things inside Minecraft, where you look and you go, how the fuck do you know that if you use that stone and do that thing, that makes a fucking roller coaster? They soak all this stuff up. I do my best to not talk about what I do creator wise with my son, because he's only young. And in the same way as there's no words I hate hearing less than when I go to a parent teacher meeting or a parents evening, and one of the other parents turns around to me and says, oh, you do a podcast, don't you? And I'm like, me? No, wrong guy. But my son will talk to me about stuff, and the big one that I thought, how have you found that out about that was we watch mostly YouTube on the TV. It's our sort of go-to thing. So I don't have cable coming into the house. And I was skipping through YouTube videos, and our show we did about the Miami Mall UFO came up. The thumbnail for that was in the scroll when it came up, and Arthur said, "Is that the alien at the shopping center?" I was like, "You fucking what?" And he said, the alien at the shopping center. I was like, well, yeah, but how do you know about that? He said, I don't know, and walked off. And I hadn't spoken to him about that. It's not like I woke my fucking 6-year-old son up at the time, that night, and said, look at this. This will keep you awake for a while. And he's convinced aliens are real because there's enough of it in cartoons and stuff like that. So none of this stuff is for us. It's for the next generations, because all it's going to be is, it's going to get to the point where, of course we know aliens exist.
Well, funny you mentioned YouTube, because if you type in Lue Elizondo Joe Rogan and you scroll down, the Alien Addict prediction of Joe Rogan from 4 years ago is
awesome.
It's number 5. So
wow,
yeah,
that's almost like Googling. Yeah, it's almost like Googling your own name. That's not weird at all.
I just typed in Joe Rogan. Lue
Since
Elizondo.
You've done the uncoolest thing in the world, is it time we tell people how they're going to find us for the rest of the week?
On Spotify and Spreaker, they need to download our podcast, because we go daily. We do this every day. We go harder, deeper, longer, stronger, throbbing.
I would like to say we do not miss a day, but someone's already got to that. So
throbbing, throbbing, longer, harder.
And I don't miss a day, y'all.
Deeper.
He's had some good episodes, huh?
Oh yeah,
I love his stuff. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. I think he's really good. Hopefully he's going to come back on the show again soon.
We have a strap line. We don't miss a day.
No, because neither do reptilians.
Reptilians don't take days off.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to fucking tell people they could do it, which they're not going to do now because of all this waffle. Yeah, all the podcast platforms, Spotify still being a bitch, and is not getting back to emails. So if you try to listen to us on the Alexa, you will not get the newest ones. Just use Spotify like everybody else in the world, or Apple Podcasts,
or Spreaker,
or Spreaker. But just whatever you listen to podcasts on, as long as it's not fucking Amazon Music, we are there. Other than that, have we got anything else to plug?
We should do another show after this show for tomorrow.
Absolutely not. This shop's going up tomorrow, and I'm going to bed.
Man, too much news going on. We're gonna miss it. We're not gonna be trending.
See, Dave keeps you guys in line, huh?
Dave does keep us in line. I will say this for anybody watching this live on Rumble and YouTube. Notice I say Rumble there. Head over to Rumble. Make sure you subscribe because YouTube might nuke us very soon.
They're going to.
They're going to. Yeah. But if you think, Alien Addict's slacking, what are these guys doing? We're not. What we've just said, it's the podcast, it's audio. So if you're thinking, why are we not seeing loads of Alien Addict shows on YouTube, on Rumble? It's because they're all on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you listen to your podcasts. So yeah, there's more shows than ever now, but there's only one live show. Sometimes we might do 2 live shows. It depends what happens, but the majority is going to be 1 live show, people. Yeah.
Yeah. If everybody who watches this downloads our podcast, it's life-changing for us. It's a really big deal. YouTube's not getting out. It's not alerting people to what's going on. These days are numbered there, but podcasting's still the Wild West, and we speak pretty freely there. So it would mean a lot for you guys to go check that out there.
And we're doing well, but we could do better.
No, we suck. We need to do better.
Thank you very much.
Take us home, Ollie.
I'll take you home. Good night. God bless. Mind the bugs. Don't bite. Don't bite. Bite. Like share.
Wait, before you go, wait.
Yes, terrestrial. Sorry, my lad.
No, you're fine, dude. I just did my own breakdown of the book on my channel, Terrestrial Material. It's on YouTube. You can follow me at Terrestrial Material on Twitter as well. If you want to go get more of my opinions on it, if you liked my opinions, you can go get more of them.
It's linked below, people.
Thank you, guys.
Material is a cool lad. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you, mate. Boy. Good night. God bless, people. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Roswell, 1947. What happened?
Roswell, 1947, there was a UAP that crashed. In fact, there were 2 UAP that crashed, and one flew away while the other one did not, and it was recovered by the U.S. government.
Allegations of a legacy UAP retrieval and reverse engineering program.
The U.S. government has had, in the past, and continues to have a very deep interest in UAP, to include the potential and possibilities of recovering crashed UAP and reverse engineering.
We've been recovering spacecraft, alien spacecraft.
The United States has been involved in the recovery of objects, vehicles of unknown origin that are neither from our country or any other foreign country that we're aware of.
Alien bodies, biologics.
We as a nation have been interested in not only the vehicles themselves, but the occupants of these vehicles, to include biological specimens.
Aliens, non-human intelligences, are real, and they have been engaging with humanity.
Ross, we're not alone. We are not alone in this universe, and it is a simple fact, and the U.S. government has been aware of that fact now for decades.
why are they allowing you to say we are in possession of something that was not made by human beings, but not allowed to elaborate, not allowed to show these very compelling videos that you're talking about that you've seen?